Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Golden Boots podcast. This is your host, Jorge Gonzalez. Our podcast is all about soccer, all things soccer. We love soccer. For episode 4 today, we have Michaella Arteta. Michaella currently plays for UNC Charlotte. Before joining UNCC, she was the first player in her high school to score 5 goals, and she's also been an all-region honor player at her high school, her junior campaign, and she may or may not be related to Michaella Arteta from Arsenal. We don't know yet. So welcome to the show, Michaella. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing great, living life.
Nice. I know we were talking before we got started, and you went for a good run this morning. How was that?
It was good. I went with one of my teammates, Remy. She's really good at soccer. She's one of my teammates, and yeah, it was good.
Awesome. Well, cool. One of the things that we like to do on this podcast is kind of get the backgrounds of different players. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, my goodness. Gosh, I don't even know where to start.
The beginning.
So I was born in California. I lived in Texas for a whole entire decade, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
Real Southern girl. And now my family lives in Raleigh, and I go to Charlotte, like UNCC. And yeah, I played soccer most of my life. This is my one and only sport.
Okay. So. What was the beginning of you enjoying soccer?
So I had an older I have an older brother, and he started playing before me. And I just remember I wanted to be better than him at everything. And so he's super smart. He beat me in school, but when it came to soccer, I just dominated it.
For real?
We played on the same team. He's 2 years older than me, and that's when it started. I was probably 6, and I just played rec, and people were like, yo, she's telling my mom she's really athletic, you guys need to move her up to classic. But it was a lot of money, a big commitment for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more people kept saying it. So eventually my parents were like, yeah, let's do it. And we took it, we ran with it, and here I am.
Nice. That's awesome. So tell me more about that when you were playing with your brother. What kind of things were you doing to him?
Well, I'm a little feisty soccer player. I'm outside the field, I'm really bubbly, really sweet, and I'd like to think I'm pretty gentle. But on the field, I can be kind of a little bit tougher, a little more aggressive. I'll give it right back to you. And it just got to the point where my mom's like, Joshua, you need to be aggressive like Michaella. And he ended up stopped playing, and now he's super smart, going to dentist school at Chapel Hill.
Okay.
And I'm the athlete. So he's got his thing, I got my thing.
You got your thing too. Well, that's cool. Well, one of the things we were looking at about you is that you scored 5 goals in your in high school. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, my goodness. I just so my 8th grade year, 7th grade, I tore my ACL on my 14th birthday. My left ACL, and so I rehabbed all my 8th grade year, and then my freshman year of high school came. I was playing high school soccer, and high school soccer for girls is a lot easier than club. And we had our first game, and in 3 minutes I scored 2 goals, and the coach pulls me out, and then he puts me back in, and I score 2 more goals right away, and I had 4 goals, and it was 4-0. And then after half, he's like, all right, I'm gonna put you back out there, and he was like, you need to chill out a little bit. And I scored another goal in 3 minutes. The team just wasn't as good, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, and then I scored a 5th goal, and he's like, yeah, you can't go back in. But I didn't know what to do. The goal was wide open. So yeah, I was the first player. I have the highest goal record in a game for my school, which was Heritage, and yeah.
That's pretty cool. What position were you playing?
I was honestly, I was probably just running around. They probably put me as a forward or an attacking mid, but I probably just ran with my, a chicken with my head cut off.
Nice. So after high school, you went to UNCC, correct?
Yeah.
So tell me about the recruitment process there. What was that like?
Oh my goodness. So stressful. Recruiting for girls just starts so young. There was a girl on my club team. She's pretty, I don't know, I don't want to say she's famous, but a lot of youth players know her. Her name's Brianna Pinto. and she won like youth national player of the year, Gatorade player of the year. Like, she's on the national team. She's made the full-time national team.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I played with her for 4 years. Freaking baller. So yeah, where was I going with that?
The recruitment process.
Yeah, okay. So she committed like in 8th grade, and I'm sitting here with a brace on my knee, like no one's gonna want me. And so that freshman year, so I had that game, I scored 5 goals, and then like 4 games later, I tear my other ACL.
Ooh.
And so that's another year out. I missed my whole sophomore year, and then I'm back my junior year, and I'm only back for like a year until I tear my meniscus. And in that year, I just had a small gap to go to basically as many camps as possible. I was super like devoted to it. Like, I wanted to play D1 soccer. Like, I have it literally like in my 2nd grade like book that I wrote that I was going to play college soccer.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
So you were speaking your goals since you were in 2nd grade. That's awesome.
And my goal was to play for Texas Christian University, but that didn't happen. I was looking at schools like Liberty, Charlotte. I even did like an Alabama camp, but I went to a Charlotte camp. It honestly didn't go that well. Like, I was crying at the end of the camp because I was just like, man, like, I can't even play well at a camp. Like, no one's going to want me. And I just went to another one, and they offered me. I had 3 offers from Liberty because they had so many coaching changes. And then Charlotte offered me, and it was like with a good amount of scholarship. I was like, wow, like, I sent them like a desperate email after the 2nd camp. I was like, you guys are my number 1 pick. Like, please, like, I want to play for you guys so bad. And so they just, she called me, she offered me, and I remember like jumping up and down with my mom, like, Mom, we did it. And
That's
so
awesome.
I accepted the offer, and then, gosh, I'm so like fickle. I'm such a girl. Like, changed my mind my senior year. It's literally a week before we're going on Christmas break, and I decommit after all of that work. Like, so I decommit from Charlotte because I was applying to the Naval Academy. My dad's a Naval Academy grad, and that's like a really prestigious school. It's really hard to get into. It was a long shot. And I prayed about it a lot, honestly, and I just felt like this is what I was supposed to do. So I decommitted, and then it was a waiting game. Like, the soccer team, they were like, you can come play for us. We'll try to help you get in the best we can. Long story short, I didn't get in, and I called Coach Cullen back up, like a desperate ex-girlfriend, like, take me back, like. And he was he's such a good guy, such a family-oriented guy, and Charlotte, like, there is a family in that locker room.
That's
and
awesome.
He was like, we would love to have you back. The only downfall was like, whatever the scholarship was that I had, he was like, it was so late in the game. Like, it was March. Okay. I graduated early my senior year. I went to community college, and then in March, like 3 months before I'm supposed to go to a school that I didn't even know what it was going to be, he accepted me back. But the deal was that I had to earn a scholarship. So at the end of my freshman year, I started 6 games.
Okay.
I played just about every position except for center back. I even played goalkeeper 1 game.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that experience?
Amazing. It's always been like my dream because I'm always finishing on the goalkeepers. I know all the form. I hear the coaching. So I'm like, one day I got to get in the net. And we had 2 goalkeepers, and they got hurt. And so I was like, well.
Look at you. You just jumped in, right?
Well, we had a legit tryout for this, and they were like, Michaella, it's your calling. So
that's cool. Well, there's a couple things that I've taken away from what you just talked about. I mean, even if you're unsure or make decisions that, like decommit, things of that nature, kudos to you for going back and asking, hey, like, I want to play. I want to get back in this, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people could decommit and say, you know what, like, maybe there's not an opportunity anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of girls, it's like a big thing for girls to kind of just commit because that's what everyone's doing. Like, that's the cool thing. You're like, oh, I committed to this D1 school, but really their heart's not in it. They're just doing it because, like, mommy and daddy paid for them to play soccer their whole life. Like, that's the expectation. And then they get to school and they realize, like, I don't really have time for a social life outside of my team. I don't get to go to the football games. Like, your heart has to be in it. And I knew, like, I genuinely love soccer. So, yeah, I wanted it.
So for like the girls on the come up, right, that want to get into school, that want to get a scholarship, what are some, I guess, things that you can tell them about the recruitment process?
So, gosh, one of the best advice I ever got was from Coach Paul Hasen in Texas. Love this guy. And he just told me, like, at all the camps I go to, he's like, do what you do best, Michaela, and that is smile and have good energy, be coachable, and, like, want it. And Colossians 3:23 just says, you know, to work as hard as you can at something as if you're doing it for the Lord himself. And so I've really taken that and I ran with that. Like, if it's a fitness drill or whatever, you know, I want to be the best teammate, the best friend, the best sister, daughter, you know, like, I want to be the best that I can be. And, like, that is the best advice that I can give to, like, anyone. How cliche is that?
No, that's perfect. I mean, I think people underestimate the power of enthusiasm, right?
Yeah.
And smiling, like, I mean, that's something that I try to do all the time too. Like, people notice, like, you can be a light in a room, right?
Yeah.
Just with a smile.
All the coaches say, like, we love your energy, you want it, and just that right there is enough, because if you want it and you're coachable, like, sky's the limit. Like, there are so many girls who have that come up story. I mean, I'm not saying I'm like a GOAT or like really good at soccer or anything, but I have had so many injuries. Like, people in high school called me RG3. You know, yeah, like I was a walking like robot, and like I'm honestly so thankful that I'm able to play, because like it's a miracle.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Talk to me more about that, because that's difficult to go through multiple surgeries. I know you mentioned to me you tore your ACL twice, you had meniscus problems. Like, what's your mindset after all? Like, talk to me more about that.
Yeah, so when I tore my first ACL when I was 14, I was playing for this club called Castle, which is now NCFC, and my coach was this guy named Sean Nahas. Super like reputable guy, really good coach, and he coaches for the NC Courage, and he's the director of the academy program at this club. And I was the worst player on this team when I made the team. I shouldn't have made it, but he saw something in me, I guess. And you know what? I became like one of the best players by the end of that year. And so when I tore my ACL, I was at the peak of my game and I was devastated. And he gave me like a buddy. Her name's Taylor Otto, and she plays with Brianna Pinto at UNC Chapel Hill. She's their team captain. And I don't know, she knows that like I still look up to her so much, but she basically gave me this advice that like, if you're going to get hurt, do you want to get hurt giving your 50% or do you want to get hurt giving your 100%?
That's good advice.
Yeah. So like in my rehab, like everything, I was like, you know what? Like, and again, like it goes back to that verse, like you just got to work hard at it. And like when life gives you lemons, you got to make the best of it. And like, so yeah, I took that and I also ran with it, and I always came back super strong, super fit. And I'm always focused. So
that's awesome. I think that also shows like the importance of being a good team player, right? Because you never know. Like everyone in a team, when people come into a team, like whether you're the best or you're just somebody on that team, you play a role, right? And your role should be, hey, what's best for the team? And I feel like your friend did that for you as well, right?
It was hard, yeah. Like, and you know, you can't be a teammate on the field anymore when you're hurt. So you have to figure out like, how can I be the best teammate and leader off the field? And that just comes down to like servant leadership, you know, picking everyone up and just like talking to them on the sidelines, giving them advice. And it taught me so much. Like, I wouldn't take back for the world like any of my surgeries or injuries. you know, because like God has me right where he wants me, and
100%.
it's built so much character.
Yeah, I think sometimes setbacks are just setups for greater things in the future, right?
Yes, exactly. You know, it's going to take me into my career path, you know, maybe even future soccer, who knows?
Yeah, and I think you can always look back at those. Like, I like to call them private wins. You know, like
Your
when
little
things,
victories.
yeah, things happen to you that no one may not know about, but inside you know you conquered them, right?
Exactly.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about women's soccer, because I think from a male perspective, sometimes there's a misconception of women's soccer. Could you tell us maybe some things that you hear, you see that are a lot of like women's misconception when it comes to soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no secret that soccer is the most popular sport in the world. And I would love to see the women's side grow a lot more. So I think it's just a misconception that like we're not as good or we're not cut out for the sport. And, you know, I think the US, like us women, like we're bad, like bad in a good way. Like, you know, we're hungry and we fight for it and we're strong. And it's cool to see like we're influencing the world. Like our national team is influencing the world. I mean, we've been world champions, like for more than a decade, honestly. And now you can see other parts of the world, like these women are starting to feel empowered, and like, you know, equality is a huge thing right now. And man, I know Megan Rapinoe is such a controversial player because she speaks up, but she's tried, you know, the whole national team has tried to make things equal, and I'm totally for it. Like wherever there's, you know, a men's team, I want to see the women right there. And I just think we all need to support each other.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of a unity thing then, huh?
Yeah. I think like it's not as bad. Like, you know, you look at men's and women's basketball, and I feel so bad because women's basketball can be like kind of a joke. Like no one watches it. But I would say like our women's national team, like
I think we're one of the best. Like
we
us,
are
Germany,
the best.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to say that more people are like affected by our women's national team than our men's national team. Like, so I love that.
I think that comes from like just a breed of success, right? Like if there's certain things that teams are doing that are breeding success, like you're gonna want to follow it and you feel tied to it because it's the US, right?
Exactly. And like, yeah, so many people are just following in our footsteps. Like the best women's soccer, it's right here in the U.S.
Yeah, it is.
So
Which I think I saw an interview by one of the players, and they were talking about how she said that like the mentality in the U.S. national women's team is if they're losing 2-0 at minute 80, they fully expect to win 3-2 by minute 90.
yes.
That's why we're number one, right?
Yeah, or if they're winning 5-0 at halftime, they're down 2-0 in their heads, and they're going for that 11th goal by the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we beat like a couple teams in the World Cup by so many goals, like unheard of.
Yeah.
So it's cutthroat, but hey, like it's all or nothing, and like what respect it is for them to not hold back, to completely give their best no matter what team they're playing.
Yeah.
So.
Was there a player that you looked up to growing up?
Oh, I mean, I love all of them so much. I've mentioned Megan Rapinoe. I have always loved her. She's a wing back. I've always thought she was really amazing. And, you know, she's controversial, but like I support like peaceful protest, and that's all she's been about. And so, yeah, as far as on the soccer field, I love her. Off the field, I'm not going to say if I agree with everything that she says or not, but no, I think she's a really cool woman who definitely empowers and inspires me.
That's cool. Awesome. So getting into Charlotte, Charlotte is getting its first football club here, which we're all excited about. Charlotte FC. We're going into the MLS, and so we're going to make this one of the best soccer communities out there. I fully believe that 1,000%. Now, right now is just a men's team. What would you say, would bringing a women's team to Charlotte, could that impact us as well? What do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great for the men's team to have a sister team, you know, like in club, you always have like the academy girls and the academy boys, and how cool would it be for them to work together, support each other, and I mean, this is the Queen City. Like, I think we all love this city. There's so much it has to offer, and I want to see it continue to grow. So yeah, I think it's great. It's like the land of opportunity here. So I say, yeah, like where there's a men's team, yeah, put a women's team. Give us the opportunity. Like, we will meet your expectation. We will blow it out of the water.
That's awesome thing. I think too, like from a business and marketing perspective, also it would be great too. Because there's a lot of great teams in Europe. Like I know the Olympique Lyon has a women's team, and they're one of the best in Europe. And like everyone knows that, and a lot of soccer players from the U.S. actually go to that team as well. So
exactly. I mean, and it's also great for the economy. If we want to talk about that, the more job opportunities and whatnot, and it's going to inspire so many more kids and little hearts. Yeah, I would love it. And I would love the opportunity to play for a women's team here that's, outside of a collegiate level.
Nice. That's awesome. So any parting thoughts or any last words that you would give to somebody that maybe wants to play or become a professional or anything of that nature and wants to play in college?
Man, I guess it's like so cliche again. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something. Because I was that player, on my third surgery. It's like, do you still want to play soccer? And it's like, yes. Well, you can't do it. I'm going to prove you wrong. And if I can do that, and God was faithful to me in that, man, anyone can do anything, I'm telling you. So just keep pushing, chase your dream. And if it doesn't work out, look, there's a reason why you were chasing that dream and you learned something from it.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, I think you should always have positive expectations for yourself, right?
Yes.
I think God gives us certain gifts, right? And it's up to us to see the interest on those gifts, right? So we have to pull out the best of ourselves. So
exactly.
Awesome. So this concludes episode 4 of the Golden Boots podcast. Michaella, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.